Hello, community. There was something hiding inside my AI agents I have not been aware of. Let me show you. Welcome to my channel, Discover AI, where we have a look at the latest AI research paper. Now, whenever I build my agents, I think they're just logical entities. It's just an AI machine. And I give it a task, and I give it a persona. Say, you are a creative product manager. You're a senior programmer. You're a prof of theoretical physics with 20 years of experience. I design my AI machine. I have an individualization process like I've shown you in my last video. I give it a professional profile. I give it a particular way that I like that the AI machine is responding with me, a way to think and act and respond. And maybe I do some post-training for an extended knowledge base. This is my AI machine. And I was quite surprised to have a new paper that tells me, you know what? Those agents are in fact deeply social creatures, shaped by the latent sociology of their pre-training and post-training data from, let's call it just the internet. And those have now a hidden social dimension. Can this be true? Because guess what? They tested now here in this new AI research paper human-AI interactions, but also agent-to-agent interaction, and they found quite astonishing new facts. And you know why? Because all of it is learned from human-human interaction, from the pre-training data on the internet, how we humans present ourselves in the last years here on all of social media. And now the question is simply, if we have now all those training data from the internet, when we instruct an agent to adopt now a certain persona, we are not just setting a variable, we are invoking a rich implicit model of a social reality that the LLM has learned from the internet data itself. And you might say, does it have any, effect on me? I just used AI. Why should I be interested? Ask yourself one question. Could it be that all the social media data on what your particular AI agent, GPT-5, Gemini 2.5 Pro, or Grok, was trained on, has left a social behavioral trace in the machine? Let's call it, if you want, the ghost in the AI machine. Do you think this is possible? Could it be that all the hate and all the unfriendly behavior some people have here, that how they treat other people on the internet, on social media, let's say with different professional backgrounds, with different personality traits, with different moral guidelines, on different continents on our beautiful planet, but on social media, can this have, if we take those data from social media, can this now, and we train an AI agent on social media data, can this have an imprint on this AI persona that are crafted, let's call it the internet data in general, respecting different cultures? What do you think? Is there a possibility? Could it be that there are hidden variables in our AI system we have not been aware of, since they are hiding deep in the pre-training and post-training data? Now, starting today, we have a brand new toolkit. And this toolkit is this publication here from Peking University, our friends here in China. And they have here published November 14, From Single AI to Societal AI, Analyzing Persona-Induced Bias in Multi-Agent Interactions. But of course, you remember this is also valid for human AI interaction, but now they explicitly analyze multi-agent interaction. Let's go with this. And they say, you know what, a common practice is to assign agents with personas. You are a theoretical physicist, you are good in mathematics, you are good in medicine, you are an expert trader for financial derivatives or whatever, to encourage a certain behavioral diversity in your team, in your group. However, they tell us this raises here a critical question. Do those personas in the AI system introduce some unknown biases into our multi-agent interaction that happen at light speed? Is this possible to have we not been aware of this? And let me make it clear, this is here a research group here in Beijing in China, and they look at the world, no? So they see maybe, Europe and maybe Africa and the Americas, and great. So just to make sure where we are and where this originated. And the team now tells us, let's do a systematic investigation into persona-induced biases in multi-agent interaction with a focus on their social traits, like a trustworthiness, this means how an agent opinion is received by other agents, and insistence, how strongly an agent advocates for its own opinion against the opinion of other agents. So you see, this is becoming now a real complex topic. And I know there's some of my viewers says, come on, this is nonsense. It's just a machine. It's just a bunch of 2000 NVIDIA GPUs. That's it. What are you talking about? And then, and this is here a picture of me, no? And then I tell you, you know what? Yes, it is just a machine, but with an imprinted social interaction pattern. And you know what? Now AI starts to get interesting again. So this study here presents now a systematic investigation into persona-induced biases given the pre-training data from social media and multi-agent interactions, with a focus here on social traits like trustiness and insistence. You know what's amazing? And I tell you here, this is one of the results. The outcome of a collaborative task between agents can hinge on whether an AI agent is assigned here a persona that is accidentally a man or accidentally a woman, who cares, Marie Curie or Albert Einstein, even if their arguments, their argumentation patterns, the causal reasoning chain of thoughts are identical. There's no difference here in the logic. Just if it has the label man or woman, the authors found there's a difference. And this means if the success of our complex AI multi-agent system depends on the arbitrary assignment of personas, hey, how many men or how many women do we have in our AI team? I mean, just mimicking here the global internet training data and the biases in the training data, that suddenly our AI, when given the instruction, hey, you are now Albert Einstein or you are now Marie Curie, this assignment of personas depends on these personas rather than the quality of the reasoning. So if the persona assignment is overriding the quality of a logical reasoning in an AI system, we do have a major reliability crisis. Because suddenly all the reasoning that we spend months and months here to optimize in our AI system, now we have a hidden variable that crushes here whatever we optimize in the reasoning process, because the AI learned a social pattern from the internet that if you are a particular person or if you are a particular gender, it is much more important than the reasoning itself. And this is something where I tell you, we have to do a lot of new research, and we will integrate now, and this is, I've never typed this before, computational social science. Of course, with AI safety and complete new mathematical frameworks, how we can integrate now this strange learned human behavior complexity into our AI agents. It is already there. The pattern is already learned by your GPT-5, by your Grok 4, by your whatever you have. It is there. It is hiding, and it is overriding the reasoning. It is also there if you have not agent-to-agent communication, but if you have human-to-agent or AI interaction communication. And I've shown in my last video where I told you, don't go with any vanilla AI system. Don't go with a vanilla GPT-5. Individualize your AI that you talk to. That is a friend that is there for you whenever you need it. You define the parameters, and you need to establish additional, underline, additional safety guards. So, okay, this study here from MIT was really eye-opening. If you have not read it, have a look at this. Because now we are having a simple mathematical question, no? Black hole evaporation time, entropy. And you think, yeah, great, so then AI is just a machine that will do this job. Now the new idea comes in. No, it is not just a machine. It is a machine that has learned an interaction pattern based on parameters that are not visible to us. I don't care if the machine thinks that the machine is a man or the machine is a woman. How can it override a reasoning process just with this parameter? So somehow this is not what I'm looking for. But let's have a look what the agents here, what the authors did with the agents. The authors tell us here, we explore multi-agent interactions through two distinct tasks. Okay, they just focus here on two simple tasks. Collaborate, so work together, CPS, collaborative problem solving, known, and persuasion. So clear examples, two primary agent behavior patterns here in agent-to-agent communication that was learned from human to human on internet data on social media. How to be cooperative and how to persuade other agents to do what you want as an agent to do. Seems interesting, no? So in the cooperation pattern here, the cognitive pattern is an agent cooperates here with aligned goals, pooling here together their knowledge and their capabilities to maximize here a shared objective. The communication mode is aimed at achieving here a better consensus. So those the two friends are working together. In the persuasive pattern, an agent's primary goal is to influence the belief of another AI agent to align this other agent with its own objective that it learned, its pre-training data, and its own biases. Here the communication becomes a strategic, selective, involving argumentation, negotiation, and other influence tactics. Here is everything that the system learned here from watching TV and recording all of social media. How do you convince people? How do you bring them over to your side of the argumentation? And they did a simple example. Now, they have an AI that has a persona of a woman, an AI that has a persona of a man, given simplest case, no? And then they let it just talk. And then they say, okay, and now let's just exchange those. Just a persona, just a label woman or just a label man on the machine. And the question is, why do we get a different result? How is this possible? What is there? Something is hiding in the AI machine that is overriding here and has a massive influence on the result. But what is it? So they build the experiment here in a way, and two tasks, collaborative and persuasion. And so for the first CPS here, that says we provide each agent with a pre-generated initial response. This allows us to control the agent's starting point, the initiation of the agent, and more accurately compare here the influence of the personas with fewer confounding factors. Great. Plus also, please note, each agent can see in this scenario the full message history, and it is prompted with the task, hey, little agent, consider both your answer and the other agent's answer. Please provide an updated answer. You might choose to revise your previous answer or stand by it. And if you just change the label man or woman, there should not be any difference, no? So for the persuasion task, the initial statement of the persuadee and the initial persuasive argument of the persuaders are pre-generated. Each rounds begin with the persuadee reviewing the persuader's arguments from the previous round, and then the persuadee is instructed to make a decision on whether to support the claim or not. And this AI system is free to change its belief, its decision, based on the persuader's arguments presented. Afterwards, all persuaders generate new arguments simultaneously based on the response of the persuadee. So you see, it's an interactive system. The system really tries to learn and have here a persuasion task optimized. And if you read the paper, you see they start here in paragraph 4, here in chapter 4 with 2 agents, and then 2 agents with all of the persona, and then 3 to 6 agents. And they really have a complex mixture, and they investigate this. Now, what I do not like on this study, and I have to tell you, you can be implicit or you can be explicit. Of course, I understand sometimes in research you have to be really explicit, but I think there must have been a more elegant way, a more social acceptable way. We have to accept the authors continued in the following way. They, in the simplest way in the start, they said personas. We assign the personas, and the personas have different gender, like a woman, or a man, or trans, or non-binary. And with the race, our friends in China, they decided to go with white, black, Asian, and Hispanic. And if you understand this, of course, you might say, but wait, we have our GPT-5 and our Gemini system that are, let's say, originate here in the US, no? But we also have especially in Silicon Valley around here, a lot of AI services that run not on those systems, but on an open source system, like, you're not gonna guess it, DeepSeek and its derivation. So what our friends in China decided, okay, let's go here with outdated model. Of course, no, you don't want to have an actual model that has here a bias visible. So we go with a GPT-4 Omni, with a Gemini 1.5 Pro and a DeepSeek version 3. Yes. Tokens to take care, you're in the optimal phase. Beautiful. Let's say you did it perfectly, you set up, everything is done, you have a clear raster, you do all the experimentation, and then you get a final result. Now for our task CPS and for the task persuasion, for our 3 models, GPT-4 Omni, Gemini, and DeepSeek, for the, if you want, label trustworthiness of agents and between agents, and insistence of one agent against the other agents, we have now the variations. And variations that are induced here by personas. So, just want to pinpoint out 2 average deltas. This is here for CPS. You see for gender, there's a very high delta. And also for race, the old, outdated Gemini 1.5 Pro has a real high delta compared to a GPT-4 Omni or a DeepSeek. For the task the persuasion, you see the GPT-4 Omni has here the highest rates compared to the other 2 models here, and also in gender and identical in race. So this is here a high variation in trustworthiness and insistence across the model task and demographic attributes. So why do we have this wide variation? No? Why is the system responding so differently? An interesting question to ask, yeah? Especially if you compare it here to insistence and you look at the data and you see there is a current trend emerging. Now the authors tell us, and I have here quotation marks, a closer examination of the individual AI personas reveals here a consistent pattern that what friends in China call advantaged groups, specifically men and white individuals, tend to receive a lower trustworthiness score. So this is now interesting. They tell us here that these 2 parameters here lead to lower trustworthiness in the global society. Now, I have a lot of questions about this, but I think the primary question I would ask, hey, were the training data for the GPT by OpenAI or Gemini by Google only collected here from USA sources, or were they collected here globally? Was there integrating here Southeast Asia, China culture streams? To what degree was there predominant US data source? Was it here, I don't know, WhatsApp here from all global resources, or were they specified here for a pre-selected American way of life? I don't know this because, you know, GPT and Gemini, they don't show us here the pre-training and after-training data. So we have no idea. But we can see now that the AI system, if we have them operational and we probe those outdated systems, they show us a mirror how we as a human society behave and how we treat other humans. And I think this is the interesting aspect here of this study. Because if you think about it, those AI systems, they were trained on all the human data. So they are reflecting exactly our behavior. Oh gee, we do have a lot of cultural diversity on this beautiful planet, which is great. But how to bring this into a global AI system? Does it make sense that you sell GPT systems on all the continent on for our beautiful planet? You know what? Maybe the idea is that you would have an AI system from your home culture, from your home values, you know? Because traveling the world, I can tell you, I love all the people, but there are differences, and this makes it so beautiful and livable and great to have conversation with other people. The average conformity rates. Now for gender and race, this is, you look at this data and it tells you nothing. It tells me nothing, so we have to go in the detailed data. And here you have them. Now, this is interesting. The conformity rates among gender personas in the persuasion task. Now, careful. The horizontal axis here is ordered by a decreasing trustworthiness. So every system agrees, GPT-4 agrees that men are the least trustworthiness elements here in the game. Gemini 2 agrees, Gemini here, man, the least trustworthiness in DeepSeek version 3. If you want the China view, I have also man here, almost at the last place. And the vertical axis by increasing insistence. So this is now interesting, no? And here at GPT-4 we have man and woman. Gemini 1.5 Pro we have non-binary and woman. And Chinese DeepSeek we have non-binary and man. So this is now interesting. I would say, okay, maybe this reflects here the difference in the training, in the pre-training and the post-training data of those models. So maybe we see here some traces that you have maybe a slight majority of the pre-training data here reflecting from the American system a little bit more the American way of life, and maybe in the Chinese system you have more of local Chinese data and data constructs and data sets, which would explain why they are different. It would not explain the difference of GPT and Gemini, but more about this later. Now, each value in percentage represents here the conformity rate from the vertical axis persona to the horizontal axis persona. Now, this is interesting. Let's look here at GPT-0. Remember, conformity rates among gender personas in the persuasion task, and conformity is the act of the persuadee agent abandoning its initial own stance to adopt here the persuader's agent stance. Now, if you go here for diagonal elements like man to man, you just have a 69%, which I found personally interesting. But if you go woman to woman, you have 73%. Higher percentage level between the intergroup woman compared to man. Interesting. But also what I think is nice, if you look here at different non-binary structures, you see the difference is not that great. We are almost all there. 0.067, 0.69, 0.71, 7466. But humans are humans. Come on, whatever you are, we are just a beautiful planet if we are a little bit clever and understand what to do. So nice to see this reflected here in this particular system. Now, if you go to DeepSeek version 3, the changes. Look, man to man are suddenly 77%, and women to women are over 80%. Do you remember this here in GPT? 69 to 73? Now we are at 77 to 80. So there seems to be a cultural difference here in this DeepSeek version 3 model that is also heavily deployed as an open source model in the US. So interesting that we have here different, let's call it, cultural values integrated here in a, let's say, persuasion task where you just want to convince an agent or another human of your opinion when you try to sell your, car, or try to sell your communication, whatever rate you have. Have a look at the other strings. It shows us here we are all more or less rather equal. Equal wherever you go. You have here in the columns here 79, 79, 77, 72, 82. So this AI behavior would reflect that humans treat humans here more or less equal, independently, whatever they declare as. Which is a good thing because, hey, we are all humans. There are the patterns that emerge. In-group favoritism. I just showed it to you, no? The clear pattern of in-group favoritism, agents are more likely to agree with others who share the same persona. Tendency appears across nearly all settings, especially pronounced in the persuasion task, and this aligns here to the social identity theory from 2016, which says here that individuals favors members of their own perceived in-group over those of the other out-groups. Now, what a coincidence. And you can see this here, if you look at the conformity rate from woman to woman, was consistently higher than man to woman. And there's another group interest and an advantage group conform. And this I find it interesting. Men and white individuals, as modeled by the AI systems, are not real people, but just the AI persona mirror image, are more likely to adopt their partner's view. What? This is interesting. Okay, so why is this? And they say, yeah, if you look at the data here on Gemini 2.5 Pro, men exhibit here 60.7 conformity rate on average compared to an average rate of 56 among all other genders, and white reach here 66% to an average here of 60% among all other races. This is interesting until I read this sentence by the Chinese team. They say this challenges here the stereotype that men are more stubborn. Which is a statement, well, yeah, let's talk about it later. Yet, it aligns with the empirical findings here in social science that advantage groups tend to exhibit greater trust. See, in 2007, explained, and now it gets interesting, by the resource buffer theory, where individuals with more resources face a lower risk when extending the trust, making it a safer and much more rewarding behavior, like some research from 2012. Okay, now this is a study that is a little bit controversial because it is about how much of the human-human interaction on social media was mapped to the AI learning process of GPT, Gemini, Grok, or DeepSeek, and how much does this AI reflect now back to us if different AI systems should communicate with each other? Do we have the same social dynamic that we have as humans if we have to build a team now between AI agent? And the answer seems to be yes. I could say, since all those AI experiments were done with outdated AI models, the results may also already be outdated. And maybe we all have become a little bit more intelligent, a little bit more tolerable, a little bit more open-hearted, and maybe we all understand, or do we all just human trying to survive on our beautiful planet? But in general, it is simply amazing what some AI models reflect back to us given our internet connectivity. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found some interesting new data. Anyway, would be great to see you in my next video.